Everyone got a normal mate. So why did I end up with a wild alien woman as my companion? Kai stood in the middle of the crowded pairing hall, his stomach twisting nervously. Around him, other humans were paired with their new companions. Calm, serene aliens with soft voices and gentle gestures. Everyone seemed to fit perfectly with their mates. "Look at that," whispered one of his friends, nudging him. "Another perfect match. Isn't that nice?" Kai forced a smile, but inside he felt uneasy. He had waited for this day for months, hoping for a partner who would be easy to get along with. Someone predictable, someone normal. The official overseeing the pairing stepped forward. "Kai Jaren," she called. Kai walked forward, his heart thumping. "Your companion is Lyra of Zithra." The name alone made him stop. He looked toward the line of aliens and froze. Lyra stepped forward. She was striking, taller than most humans, with vivid emerald eyes that seemed to glow. Her hair shimmered like liquid silver, and her movements were swift and unpredictable, almost feline. Kai blinked. Around him, others stared. Some whispered. Some laughed quietly. Lyra's presence seemed alive in a way no other alien was. There was a wildness about her, an untamed energy that made Kai step back without realizing it. Lyra smiled. It was not the polite, calm smile other pairs shared. It was sharp, like a cat sizing up its prey, or maybe a friend testing your courage. "Hello," she said, her voice melodic but commanding. "I'm Lyra. Ready to go?" Kai swallowed hard. Yes, ready." Even as they left the hall, whispers followed them. People shook their heads. "Why would he get her?" someone muttered. "She's wild." Kai didn't know what to say. He felt embarrassed. He was supposed to be excited, but all he could think about was how unpredictable Lyra seemed. Her hand brushed against his as they walked to the transport shuttle, and he flinched, not expecting such a bold touch. Inside the shuttle, Kai tried to find a seat away from her, but Lyra moved beside him anyway. "Don't worry," she said, her eyes glinting. "I'm not going to bite unless you want me to," Kai laughed nervously. I think I'll pass." She tilted her head, amused. "Suit yourself, just don't fall asleep. The journey can be interesting." Kai stared at her. She seemed almost too alive, too alert. Even in the hum of the shuttle, she didn't sit still. Her eyes scanned the controls, the viewport, and then him. It felt like she could see his thoughts. Hours passed. The shuttle cruised through the stars, smooth and quiet. Kai tried to make small talk. "So, Zithra. That's where you're from." Lyra's lips curved into a mischievous smile. "I was born there, grew up climbing cliffs, swimming through caves, and racing storms." Kai's eyes widened. "Storms?" she nodded. "We don't just stay in safe spaces, we challenge ourselves." He swallowed. "Sounds dangerous." "Dangerous is fun," she said simply. "You humans are too careful sometimes." Kai didn't respond. He wasn't used to this. He had grown up learning rules, routines, safety. Lyra seemed like chaos made flesh, someone who lived by instinct, not order. Suddenly the shuttle jolted violently. Warning lights flashed red and alarms blared. Kai's stomach dropped. He grabbed the edge of his seat. "What's happening?" he shouted. Lyra's eyes flashed. She leapt to the controls with the grace of a predator. "Raiders, small craft." "They've locked onto us." Kai froze. "Raiders. They think we're alone," she said, her fingers flying over the panels. "Lucky for us, they don't know how to deal with someone like me." Before he could ask what she meant, the shuttle shuddered again. One of the smaller enemy ships slammed into their hull, sending Kai sprawling. Lyra's hands moved faster than he could track. Sparks flew from the control panel. "Hang on," she said. Her voice was calm, almost playful, but her eyes were deadly serious. "I've got this." Kai barely understood what was happening. Lyra twisted knobs, pulled levers, and somehow maneuvered the shuttle through a narrow asteroid belt. Rocks larger than buildings spun past them. The enemy ships crashed into the asteroids, one by one, and Kai watched in disbelief. How are you doing that?" he shouted. Lyra glanced at him briefly. "Instinct. You humans overthink. Sometimes you just move with the chaos around you." Kai didn't know whether to be impressed or terrified. Both, probably. Finally, the raiders gave up. Their last ship exploded against a spinning asteroid. The shuttle was damaged but stable. Kai's knees were shaking. "That was incredible," he managed. Lyra leaned back, stretching. "I told you. Interesting, right?" Kai shook his head, still trying to process it. He realized something. Lyra was unpredictable, yes, but she was also capable, intelligent, and fearless. Everything about her that had made him nervous now felt inspiring. They drifted through the quiet of space, the stars stretching endlessly outside. Kai looked at her, really looked, and for the first time he felt a spark of excitement. Maybe this pairing wasn't a curse. Maybe it was something else entirely. The rest of the journey passed in tense silence and occasional conversation. Lyra taught him a few survival techniques: how to read asteroid movements, how to detect nearby threats, how to move silently in zero gravity. Kai struggled, but she was patient, correcting him with quick, precise gestures. By the time they neared their destination, a small colony on a remote frontier planet, Kai felt a strange respect growing inside him. Lyra was wild, yes, but she was also strong, clever, and unpredictable in a way that could save lives. When the shuttle finally landed, Kai took a deep breath. Stepping onto the planet's surface, he realized he was no longer afraid of being paired with Lyra. If anything, he was curious. Curious about her planet, and about what lay ahead for both of them. Lyra looked around, scanning the horizon with those sharp, glowing eyes. "This place is interesting," she said. "I like it already." Kai laughed. "You like everything, aren't you ever scared?" "Fear is boring," she replied, grinning. "I prefer excitement, challenge, adventure." Kai felt a small smile creep onto his face. Maybe this was the adventure he had been waiting for all his life. And maybe, just maybe, being paired with a wild alien woman was exactly what he needed to discover who he really was. As they walked into the colony together, Kai realized something profound. Everyone else might have had normal mates, companions who were calm and predictable, but he had someone extraordinary. Someone who would push him, challenge him, and if he was lucky, teach him to be more than he had ever imagined. For the first time, Kai didn't feel nervous. He felt ready. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that this was only the beginning. Kai and Lyra stepped out of the shuttle into the alien colony, the air heavy with the scent of unfamiliar vegetation. The ground beneath their boots was uneven, dotted with strange plants that shimmered faintly in the sunlight. The colony was small but bustling, humans and aliens working together in harmony. Kai's mind was still buzzing from the shuttle attack, and he couldn't stop glancing at Lyra. "She moves like she owns the stars," he thought, trying to shake his awe. Lyra noticed. She smirked. "You still staring at me, Kai?" Kai cleared his throat. I'm just impressed, that's all." Lyra's smile widened, sharp and playful. "Good, you should be." The colony leaders greeted them warmly. A human named Commander then explained that their settlement often dealt with strange asteroid fields and occasional space raiders. "You two just came at the perfect time," he said. "We have a problem you might be able to help with." Kai felt a familiar nervousness creep back. "Problem?" Ven nodded. "Our survey drones discovered an uncharted asteroid field nearby. The scans show strange life forms and unstable terrain. We can't risk sending a team, but you survived a raid. Maybe you can investigate." Lyra's eyes lit up. Finally, some real adventure. Kai hesitated. This sounded dangerous, but then he looked at Lyra. She wasn't waiting for permission. She was already moving toward the transport vehicle that would take them to the asteroid field. "All right," Kai said, taking a deep breath. "Let's do it." The journey to the asteroid field was tense. The transport hovered above the swirling rocks, engines humming. Kai gripped the railing, trying not to look down. Lyra, on the other hand, seemed perfectly at ease. She leaned over the edge, studying the asteroids like a hunter tracking prey. "There," she said, pointing at a cluster of rocks. "We start there." Kai followed her lead, noting how naturally she moved in zero gravity, adjusting her balance and speed without hesitation. He tried to mimic her, but his movements were stiff and awkward. Lyra noticed and chuckled softly. "You'll get it," she said. "Just trust your instincts sometimes. Don't overthink." Kai nodded, swallowing his fear. He realized that surviving in this strange environment would mean relying on each other. Lyra's wildness wasn't chaos, it was skill, honed by a life far different from his own. They descended carefully onto a large, flat asteroid. Its surface was rough and jagged, with patches of glowing minerals. The strange alien fauna they had seen on the scans moved quickly across the rocks, some hiding, some watching. Lyra crouched low. "See that?" she whispered. "Those creatures aren't dangerous if you respect their space, but one wrong move and they'll attack." Kai swallowed. He had never been so aware of the fragility of life around him. "How do you know?" Lyra glanced at him, eyes glinting. "Experience, observation, and a bit of luck." They moved slowly, Kai trying to mimic her careful steps. The asteroid creaked and groaned under their weight. Suddenly, a sharp crack echoed through the rocks. A boulder shifted, threatening to tumble toward them. Lyra reacted instantly, grabbing Kai and pulling him aside just as the rock crashed where he had been standing. His heart raced. "Thanks," he panted. I almost." "You almost died," Lyra finished for him, her voice calm. "Welcome to my world." Kai realized that survival here wasn't about strength, it was about awareness, quick thinking, and trust. Lyra had all of that in abundance. He had to learn fast. They explored further, collecting samples and scanning the terrain. Strange glowing plants, crystalline formations, and small creatures that seemed almost translucent filled the asteroid. Kai was fascinated but also cautious. Every step had to be calculated. At one point, they came across a deep crevice. Strange noises echoed from below, clicks, hisses, and faint murmurs. Lyra crouched at the edge, peering down. "Whatever is down there, it's intelligent," she said softly, "or at least clever enough to survive here." Kai felt a shiver run down his spine. "Should we go down?" Lyra looked at him, her eyes sharp. "We have to, but carefully, stay close, watch everything." They descended, using handholds and natural footholds. The crevice opened into a wide cavern, glowing faintly with bioluminescent fungi. Strange creatures moved in the shadows, their shapes shifting, almost like liquid. Kai's fear rose. "Lyra, are they dangerous?" She shook her head. "Not if we don't threaten them. Watch their patterns, notice their movements, adapt." Kai tried to follow her instructions, noting the subtle shifts in the creatures' positions. Every time he adjusted correctly, Lyra gave a small nod, encouraging him. Slowly, he realized he could learn from her instincts. Deeper into the cavern, they found a small outpost, a human research team, stranded and trapped after their equipment malfunctioned. The team's leader, Dr. Sira, looked relieved and frightened. Who are you?" she stammered. "Lyra and I," Kai said, stepping forward. "We're here to help." Lyra scanned the equipment quickly. "The power core is unstable," she said. "We'll need to reroute the energy manually. Kai, follow my lead. You handle the controls while I handle the environment." Kai hesitated. I don't know if I can." "You can," Lyra interrupted, her tone sharp but encouraging. "Trust yourself. I'll guide you." Working together, Kai followed her instructions. She directed him calmly, correcting his mistakes without scolding, always aware of the dangers around them. The creatures watched silently, curious but not aggressive. After tense moments, they stabilized the power core. Lights flickered back on, and the research team breathed a collective sigh of relief. Kai turned to Lyra, awe in his eyes. You were incredible." Lyra shrugged as if it were no big deal. "It's what I do. You did well too. You stayed calm and followed directions. That counts for a lot in situations like this." Kai realized something important. Lyra's wildness wasn't just excitement or chaos. It was a skill honed by experience, instinct, and courage. And he had survived by learning, adapting, and trusting her. The research team thanked them repeatedly, offering food and supplies, but Kai barely noticed. He was focused on Lyra. She had shown him a new way of living, one where instinct and courage worked alongside intelligence and planning. As they left the cavern, Kai glanced at Lyra. I never imagined someone like you could be my companion, but now I'm glad. Lyra grinned, eyes glowing. I told you, interesting, right? Life's never boring when you pay attention. Kai laughed softly. You're right about that. They returned to the transport vehicle, carrying the rescued researchers safely. As they lifted off from the asteroid, Kai felt a sense of pride and accomplishment he had never known before. Not just in himself, but in humanity. Humans might not have instinctive powers like Lyra, but they adapt, plan, and rise to challenges. Combined with someone like her, they were unstoppable. Lyra watched him with amusement. You're learning fast. Soon you'll be able to handle more than just following my lead. Kai smiled. Maybe, but I hope I'm always learning from you. She tilted her head, considering him. Good, because this is only the beginning. The universe has more surprises than you can imagine, Kai, and we'll face them together. As the transport soared through space, Kai felt something deep inside him shift. The fear, the embarrassment, and the doubts about being paired with a wild alien companion were gone. Instead, there was excitement, respect, and a sense of adventure. He realized that Lyra's wildness didn't threaten him. It pushed him to grow, adapt, and discover his potential. And that was a lesson only someone extraordinary like her could teach. Kai leaned back, watching the stars streak past the viewport. For the first time in his life, he felt ready to face anything the universe might throw at him. With Lyra by his side, Kai and Lyra returned to the colony as heroes. The rescued researchers praised them endlessly, and Commander Ven clapped Kai on the shoulder. You two make a strong team, he said. I think we might have underestimated you, Kai. Kai flushed but smiled. I just followed instructions, Lyra smirked, and I helped him not die. The team laughed and Kai felt the warmth of belonging, but there was no time to relax. As they debriefed with Commander Ven, Lyra's eyes narrowed, scanning the horizon beyond the colony. There's something else, she said quietly. A sector of space nearby. My sensors picked up an unusual signal, large energy fluctuations. Not natural. Something alive and dangerous. Ven frowned. Do you think it's another threat like the Raiders? Lyra shook her head. Worse, this is ancient, intelligent, and highly capable. If we don't act, it could threaten the entire human colony network. Kai felt a chill. And you want us to? Lyra looked at him, her eyes steady. We investigate, we prepare. You've seen what happens when humans hesitate. This time we can't wait. Kai swallowed, his heart pounding. Fear was creeping in, but he knew he couldn't back down. Not now, not with Lyra. He had already learned to trust her instincts, and they had saved lives together. They could do this too. The next day, they prepared their ship for the journey. Kai handled navigation and systems, while Lyra reviewed sensor data and possible threats. They worked in silence, each focused, each aware of the stakes. As they traveled, Kai noticed how calm Lyra seemed, even in the face of potential danger. How are you so composed? He asked quietly. Experience, she replied. I've faced threats bigger than you can imagine. And humans, she tilted her head, studying him. You overthink. That can be useful sometimes, but panic is wasted energy. Learn to focus, Kai. Focus saves lives. Kai nodded. Her words reminded him that being human didn't mean being weak. Humans survived, thrived, and adapted, even without natural instincts like hers. After several hours, they approached the source of the signal. It was a massive, irregular asteroid drifting through space, pulsing with energy. Strange metallic structures jutted from its surface, glimmering with an almost alien intelligence. Lyra's eyes narrowed. This is it. Whatever created this, it's advanced, and it's alive in some way. Kai's stomach twisted. Alive? You mean like the creatures on the asteroid? Worse, Lyra said softly, this has intelligence and purpose. It will defend itself if it can. Kai swallowed hard. And we're supposed to what? Explore it? Lyra smiled, sharp and confident. Yes, carefully together. They docked their ship on a relatively flat section of the asteroid. The surface was uneven, covered with jagged metal and alien growths. As they stepped out, Kai's heart raced. He felt like an ant walking on a living machine, the ground beneath him humming with energy. Lyra crouched low, scanning the environment. Follow my lead, watch everything. The smallest mistake can trigger defenses. Kai nodded, trying to steady his breathing. They moved slowly, Lyra guiding him through the alien terrain. Strange energy pulses rippled under their feet. Metallic structures shifted subtly as if alive. Suddenly, a loud hum filled the air. A wall of energy rose between them and the center of the asteroid. Kai froze. Lyra's eyes flicked toward him. Stay calm, we can bypass it. Follow my movements. She leapt gracefully, touching specific points on the metallic surface. Sparks flew and the energy wall flickered. Kai tried to mimic her, unsure if he could keep up. His hands trembled, but he focused, remembering what she had taught him about observation and instinct. Together they moved past the barrier. Inside the asteroid, the environment was surreal, towers of metal and crystal intertwined, pulsing with energy. Strange symbols glowed along the walls. Kai felt a thrill of both fear and awe. Look at this, Lyra whispered. We're inside something alive, like a mind made of metal and energy. Kai nodded, eyes wide. It's incredible and terrifying. They continued carefully, scanning for any threats. Suddenly, the ground trembled. A massive creature emerged, formed of energy and metal, its form constantly shifting. It towered over them, humming with power. Kai froze. Lyra, what is that? Lyra's eyes glowed. It's the guardian of this place. We need to show it we're not a threat. Follow my lead. She stepped forward, moving confidently. The creature advanced and Kai's heart pounded. Lyra raised her hands in a gesture he didn't understand. The creature paused, studying them. You humans, you have potential, Lyra whispered. Focus, think, act together. Show it what we can do. Kai realized she was giving him a choice, panic or act. He squared his shoulders, drawing on everything he had learned. Humans survive through intelligence, adaptability, and courage. He adjusted the ship's scanner, sending a signal to communicate with the creature, while Lyra continued her gestures. Slowly, the Guardian responded, its movements becoming less aggressive. Kai's hands shook, but he remained focused. Minutes passed like hours. Finally, the Guardian stopped, its energy stabilizing. It had accepted them not as enemies but as worthy beings. Lyra turned to Kai, smiling. See, humans are clever, you learned fast, that's why we survived together. Kai exhaled, relief flooding him. I couldn't have done it without you, Lyra shrugged. And I couldn't have done it without you. Instinct and planning, chaos and thought, that's how we succeed. Together, they explored the inner chambers of the asteroid, discovering ancient knowledge and technology far beyond human understanding. Kai realized the importance of teamwork. Humans could adapt, innovate, and lead, especially when paired with allies who complemented their abilities. As they prepared to return to the colony, Kai felt a new sense of confidence. He had faced fear, danger, and the unknown and survived. He had learned that being human wasn't a weakness. It was a strength when paired with courage, intelligence, and the willingness to act. Lyra glanced at him, her sharp smile softer now. This is just the beginning, Kai. More challenges are coming, but we're ready. Kai nodded, feeling the truth in her words. Together, they returned to the colony, carrying not just the knowledge they had found, but also the realization that humans can rise to any challenge through courage, intelligence, and partnership. For Kai, the wild alien companion he had once feared had become the person who taught him to embrace the unknown, to act decisively, and to believe in humanity's ability to thrive, even in the most unpredictable circumstances. As the colony's lights came into view, Kai looked at Lyra. I'm ready for whatever comes next. Lyra's grin returned, sharp and confident. Good, Because the universe has a lot more surprises, and we'll face them together. Kai felt a thrill of anticipation. He had grown stronger, braver, and wiser, and he knew that the real adventure, the one that would test every part of him and humanity, was still ahead. Kai and Lyra returned to Nova Haven with the knowledge and artifacts from the living asteroid. The colony celebrated their bravery, and Commander Ven looked at them with a mix of pride and concern. "You two have done more than anyone expected," Ven said. "But the energy readings you brought back, they suggest a larger problem. Something is moving toward human space." Kai frowned. "Something alive," Lyra nodded. "Yes, and this time it's not a test, it's a threat, but humans can face it. We just need to act carefully and quickly." Kai felt a mix of excitement and fear. He had grown so much since being paired with Lyra. He knew he had learned to trust her instincts, adapt to danger, and act decisively. But the scale of this new threat was bigger than anything they had faced before. The colony organized a team, including Kai, Lyra, and several experienced human pilots and engineers. They boarded the fastest ship available and set a course toward the source of the energy disturbance. As they traveled through the stars, Lyra briefed Kai on the plan. "We will need to approach carefully. This entity is intelligent and reacts to threats. We can't fight it directly. We have to outsmart it, use our knowledge, and act as one." Kai nodded, determination in his eyes. "We can do this, together." Hours later, they arrived at the edge of the system where the energy readings were strongest. Floating before them was a massive, semi-transparent entity pulsating with energy. It resembled a living crystal, constantly shifting and sending out waves of power. The humans in the ship watched in awe and fear. Lyra's voice was calm, even excited. "This is it. Remember, it reacts to thought, intention, and action. We must show it we are not a threat, but that we are capable of reasoning. Humans excel at that." Kai's heart raced. He had never felt so small and yet so determined. "What's the plan?" he asked. Lyra gestured toward him. "You'll operate the energy relay. I'll guide our approach and observe its reactions. We communicate together. Every action matters." Kai adjusted the ship's instruments, carefully following her instructions. The entity pulsed and shifted as if sensing them. Kai's hands shook slightly, but he focused, recalling everything he had learned: observation, patience, adaptation, and trust. Minutes passed in tense silence. Lyra instructed him to adjust the energy flow, and Kai carefully redirected it. The entity pulsed more slowly, almost as if approving. "You're doing perfectly," Lyra said softly. "Keep going. Focus on the pattern, not the fear." Kai felt a surge of confidence. Humans might not have natural instincts like Lyra, but their strength lay in intelligence, creativity, and perseverance. By combining their efforts, they could overcome almost anything. Suddenly, the entity shifted, extending tendrils of energy toward the ship. The humans panicked, but Lyra remained calm. "No sudden moves. Adjust the shields gradually, follow my timing." Kai followed her lead, carefully balancing energy flow and shield strength. Slowly, the tendrils withdrew. The entity pulsed rhythmically, seemingly responding to their calm and precise actions. Kai realized something profound. Humans survived not by brute force, but by thinking, learning, and working together. With Lyra's instincts and his reasoning, they had created a combination stronger than either alone. They approached the entity cautiously, Kai operating the instruments while Lyra guided their maneuvers. Each adjustment brought the entity closer to calm, its pulses slower, more harmonious. Finally, they reached a point where they could communicate. Using subtle energy signals, Kai and Lyra transmitted messages of peace and cooperation. The entity seemed to understand, its pulses forming patterns that mirrored their own. Lyra smiled at him. "You see, humans are clever, we adapt. That's why we survive, Kai, that's why we thrive." Kai nodded, heart pounding with awe. I understand now. This is what makes us strong. Not instinct alone, not raw power, but intelligence, courage, and working together." The entity pulsed brightly, then slowly moved aside, allowing the humans to pass safely through its domain. Kai and Lyra exchanged relieved glances. They had succeeded without violence, using human ingenuity and cooperation. As they returned to Nova Haven, the colony greeted them with celebration. Humans and aliens alike cheered, inspired by the courage and intelligence that had saved them. Kai felt a deep sense of pride. He thought back to the day he had been paired with Lyra, uncertain and nervous. At first, he had feared her wildness. Now he realized it had been a gift. Her instincts had challenged him, pushed him to grow, and taught him that humans could rise to any challenge when they trusted themselves and their companions. Commander Vin approached him. "You've proven something important, Kai. Humans are more capable than many believe." "With courage and intelligence, there is no limit," Kai smiled. "Thank you, sir. I've learned a lot from Lyra, and from facing these challenges together." Lyra leaned against the railing, watching him with a sharp, approving grin. "You've grown. You've learned to trust yourself and your instincts. You're ready for anything now." Kai felt a warmth in his chest. Together, they had faced danger, uncertainty, and the unknown. They had survived not through strength alone, but through partnership, courage, and human ingenuity. That night, Kai looked out over the colony, the lights twinkling against the dark sky. He thought about the adventures they had faced and the challenges still ahead. Lyra came to stand beside him. "What are you thinking?" she asked. Kai smiled. "About everything. About how humans survive and how much we can do when we work together. About how life is full of surprises." Lyra nodded. "And we'll face them all together." Kai took a deep breath, feeling a sense of purpose he had never known. The universe was vast and full of challenges, but he was ready. He had Lyra, his wild, extraordinary companion, and he had discovered the strength that humans always carried within themselves: intelligence, courage, and the will to rise to any challenge. For the first time, Kai truly believed that humans could thrive anywhere, even among the stars, even against unknown dangers. And with Lyra at his side, he knew there was nothing they could not face. As they looked up at the sky, filled with stars and possibilities, Kai felt hope, pride, and excitement. Humanity had triumphed not through violence, but through thought, action, and courage. And their story, his story, was just beginning. The universe was waiting. And Kai, with his wild companion Lyra, was ready to meet it head-on.